Moving into our next story of the day, we got protesters going after Ron DeSantis' office and literally going into it. Hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already, folks, because it's amazing how the left and Democrat Party spent years on the whole January 6th idea of a few thousand people basically getting a VIP tour of Congress's, House of Representatives, the Senate, wherever they went into the state capitol at the end of the day. Even though they had permits to be on the land, the area, they didn't have permits to go inside. I don't think that was a good thing. That's not what I'm saying. But, it was basically being chauffeured around by Capitol Security, Capitol Police. Like, hey, look at this. Is Nancy Pelosi's office. Feel free to take a dump on it. Take a selfie if you would like. All these things. But they've literally, the left and Democrat Party, their side of the aisle, has taken over like 4 state capitals since then. And now they rushed Ron DeSantis' office here. The leftist media outlets aren't going to cover it, of course. That they've done this literally 4 or 5 times now in different capitals around the country. But they're only going to focus on January 6th, but not like the multiple times this all takes place, which we're so used to, right? The same way they go after Republicans and conservatives for one small event, even though we just got done watching 4 years of the Democrat Party and the progressive left burn down our cities. All the while, they have literally the leftist media outlets rubbing their shoulders and kissing their feet on camera going, oh, well, it's a mostly peaceful protest as the buildings ablaze. There's like 5 buildings on fire, basically burnt to crisp, and people just adding to it. Yeah, nothing to see here, though, folks. Actually, we do cover that in our book, by the way. Trojan Horse, How the Left is Destroying America. If you haven't picked yourself up a copy, or a friend or family member, what are you doing? I'm hearing you're all enjoying it. Thanks for those that bought it. I saw your reviews on Amazon. I really do appreciate it. If you haven't wrote a review and you did buy the book, head over there. We would love to hear from you. It's 5 stars. People are enjoying it, folks. Pick yourself up a copy. And heck, while we're at it, if you haven't gone over to baldbrad.com and picked yourself up some merch, we got shirts. I mean, these shirts, folks, look at the collar here, huh? The fit on these are insane. Shib got a shirt. Also, Shib, I saw your mug. I saw it on the Amazon. I saw the review, my friend. Thank you so much. Get yourself a mug, folks. Coffee is going to taste so much better. I mean, if you want to get a reality and an idea of what coffee tastes like from a true American mug, this is it, folks. I'm telling you, you got the American flag on the back. You got the Bald Brad logo on the front. There's a lot of other merch for you, folks. Pick yourself up something. So here we go. Protesters flooded the office of Florida Governor Ron DeSantis at the state capitol on Wednesday after the Republican legislature passed sweeping education bills that Democrats have decried as racist and transphobic. I mean, that should basically, if the Democrats had their own flag, that's what should be posted on it, is that Republicans and conservatives and anything that we don't agree with is just racist and transphobic. So we'll get into the actual details. Give me one moment here. But police made at least a dozen arrests at the Capitol where protesters planted themselves inside DeSantis' office. And DeSantis was not at the Capitol at the time, though be amused by staffers could be seen behind a walled desk. Dozens of protesters locked arms, sat on the carpet, as you can imagine, and cried over their lives and what's going on, because it's terrible. It's just so terrible what's happening in the United States compared to the rest of the world, where literally there's still slavery happening. There's concentration camps in freaking China. People are being beheaded. You got Jews and Christians and gays all across the world, especially in the Middle East, just being skinned alive, beheaded, scalped, lit on fire, thrown in cages and drowning alive. All that stuff's going on. But yeah, let's complain about what we got going on here. So, as I mentioned, dozens of protesters locked arms and sat on the carpet, and they refused to comply with police officers and the warnings that the police officers were giving that they must vacate the area within 20 minutes. As you can imagine, they didn't do so. So those arrested faced trespassing charges and a 1-year ban from the Capitol grounds, according to Miami Herald. And I just you want to see the type of people that are there for those that are curious. I mean, that looks like a leftist, folks. Okay, if you're a true American patriot, let's try not to look like that and have some sort of decency. But that's what's going on here. I'm sorry if there's any Bald Brad Show viewers that are very reminiscent of this. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just saying there's a specific type of look to a progressive leftist. Here's another picture of them inside. I mean, look, the guy has a colored guitar, right? Has a, like a hippie style look. You got the hair colored there. There is a specific look in the same way there's a specific look to conservatives, Republicans, right? The American flag, which is, patriotic, maybe a patriotic shirt on, Second Amendment shirt or whatever. In the same way, you could just call out a progressive leftist basically any day of the week by just seeing what they wear and the way that they talk. So you're seeing that right here on the screen. So it says the first piece of legislation prevents students and teachers, this is really important, and I love this, from being required to use pronouns that don't correspond to a person's biological sex. And the second bill bans diversity programs in colleges throughout the state because it's a waste of taxpayer dollars. And that's why early on, many months ago, and we covered this on the Bald Brad Show, Ron DeSantis basically performing an audit and seeing how this money is being spent and if it's being spent wisely. And we covered how these diversity officers on campus that are there just to hire based on your skin color, students coming in, or rather hire, basically receive or administer students into the school through the admission process based on skin color, like through affirmative action and other ways they can sit there and quantify their diversity quotas. They're getting paid like $600,000 to $800,000 to do that job. They sit there and look at a list and be like, hey, we only have like 5% black people. We need more black people because we're not proportional. So that's what they're doing. They're getting paid like $800,000 again. And he did the math on it. You could literally spend that money elsewhere and actually really help a lot of people out in college. But I really love the fact that they put in there, and that's why I highlighted the word, from teachers, basically students and teachers, from being required to use pronouns that don't correspond to a person's biological sex. If you watch yesterday's episode, I know we don't get too many views on our educational videos in terms of what I've witnessed behind the scenes. But one of those things is that teachers are being mandated to lie to you, but also being mandated on their speech on what they can and can't say. Because if they don't call the student the correct pronoun, then now you have a harassment suit, or you have a harassment or discrimination suit happening against the school district on behalf of the person that feels like they're being, again, harassed by the teacher, even though that's not the teacher's true intention. A teacher's dealing with reality. When they see a biological male that's named Randy, and now you want to be called Rachel because somehow you switched from male to female, well, I'm sorry, I'm not going to indulge in that false reality. I'll call you by your birth name, or I'll call you by your last name, just because I don't want to be rude. I just want you to do well in school. You've all heard me emphasize that enough. I just want people to do well. I'm not there to degrade them. I'm not there to belittle them. I just want them to do well in school, and I just want to go home to my family and do the Bald Brad Show. That's all I want. I don't want any problems, okay? You're trying to create problems for me. I love this. The problem is removed in the state of Florida. Now teachers are not mandated to call you by the correct pronouns, and as you can imagine, this is racist and sexist and bigoted and homophobe and transphobe and all those things they call us, which is just bounces off us now because it doesn't make any sense. But the bill sailed through the Florida House and Senate like faster than you can snap your fingers, baby. They're like, let's do it. Super quick. Florida gets stuff done. To the desk of the governor, who is expected to sign them this week. Other legislation working its way through the legislature would ban schools from teaching about gender identity and sexual orientation up to 8th grade. DeSantis has called for such teachings to be prohibited in all grades. I do agree with that. I think if that stuff if that's what Floridians want, then they can vote to instill that within the standards and have that being taught in the school district. Because people go, well, why would we teach this? How do we all come to an agreement on what to teach? Well, you come to an agreement on a society in terms of what to teach. So if society wants us to put gender identity and sexual orientation in schools, then that's what the society wants the kids to learn. Then that's what should be taught. But this is not what people want. The polls show this is not what people want. People don't want their kids to be trans. People don't want their kids to watch cartoons, jerking off and showing them how to masturbate like we saw in New Jersey at a 3rd grade level. So this is a good move by Ron DeSantis. People don't want that. His own constituents that he's there to serve as the politician don't want that. This is a great move. But obviously the people on the left are losing their minds over it. If you want your kid to learn about this stuff, then teach them it yourself at home. How about that? How about you take the responsibility as the parent to teach your kid what you want them to learn? God forbid you do that. God forbid you teach them how to, write a check or balance a checkbook, okay, what goes into a credit card, how to deal with your finances, what a mortgage is, what interest rate is, what a term is, what a coupon rate is. When you look at a bond, what a bond is. God forbid we do that as adults and inculcate that within our kids. We rely on the education system for some reason to be the parent when that's not the role of the education system, but that's what the left want it to be. It also allows challenges against schools and the books that critique or argue are inappropriate for children. The idea, according to supporters, is to protect children from sexualized content. And that's why we see some of these pornographic stuff being put into schools and teaching them, again, how to touch themselves and how to use dildos and sex toys and stuff like that. It's insane, you guys. It's so insane what's going on in these school districts. And you have these other states that are pushing this through. And what's so odd to me, and I've said this at length, you guys, I understand I repeat myself a lot, but I'm trying to grasp the idea of like how you could still vote Democrat when your entire party is for transing kids, indoctrinating them with critical race theory and gender identity theories On top of the fact that you're for mutilating kids, giving them hormone blockers, puberty blockers, hormone enhancers, puberty enhancements, all this stuff, lopping off their genitals, mutilating them at a young age, and thinking that they can actually dictate their gender and their identity at such a young age when their brain hasn't actually fully developed, where they are or are not able to comprehend certain things. Like literally, you keep them inside. They're not even allowed to cross the street by themselves. You have to hold their hand, but yet you want them to sit there and actually decide if they're a male or female and to make that life-altering decision to lop off their genitals. That's why I always make the joke, like you literally have a kid eating paste in school, squirting Elmer's glue inside his mouth, drooling all over the place, boogers everywhere, and the kid's like supposed to sit there and say, yeah, I'm a girl, when actually they're a biological male. And you go, do you want to lop off your pee-pee, honey? Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I don't know. Sounds a little outrageous. Why don't you just wait till they're 18 to make that decision? But that's too logical, folks. That's way too logical for the progressive left. Let me know what you think about that one in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed that clip from the Bald Brad Show. If you did, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can stay up to date on all our future content.